Hello and welcome to episode 415 of the Stacey West podcast. Back on a Sunday for the first time in a while, I believe. And I don't know why I say I believe, because I should know. But it's me, Gary. It happens to me. Can't remember if I've been on a Sunday or not. But I know it's been a while since I've done a podcast with Emily, who joins me this afternoon, stroke this evening. How are you?
That's true. Yeah, I'm not too bad, thank you. Well, no, I'm good. I'm good. Football is good. Feeling good. There's an unnerving optimism kind of bubbling away, but I can't argue. It's all good. It's all good. How are you?
I hate hope. I hate belief. It's not they're not good things. Yeah, I'm not too bad. So today has been interesting. We purchased a fridge today. So
interesting.
Yes, yeah. Off air, I was telling you that the evolution of my fridge situation was incredibly interesting. It's not. But with 13 people watching now and you 14 as a captive audience. So when we moved in here, we had a fridge where the door thing where the milk stayed had broken. So I couldn't get I like a glass of Pepsi Max with ice in the top.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to keep my Pepsi Max and the ice outside in the fridge in the outhouse. We then got a fridge where I could keep my Pepsi in, but we didn't have an ice box. So if I wanted a Pepsi, I then had to go outside to get the ice. Pain in the arse. So then when we had the floor done, I purchased a fridge that has an ice box and a thing for my Pepsi. I can see how interesting this is by the blank look on your face already. So it's great. But the ice box gets frozen up. So I've had enough. I spat my dummy out. We need a new fridge. So we're getting one of those big American style double doors, freezer one side, fridge the other, ice maker on the front, so I don't have to go out in the shed for any of my food, drink, or ice requirements this winter. And it has only taken 10.5 years to get to this stage.
You'll be like, in that program they used to do cribs, and they used to take everyone around the kitchen, and they'd go, and here's my fridge, and open up, and it's normally full of sauces, sauce glazed over, sauces and condiments. But I think it's a good point about having a fridge. If you've not got a structurally sound shelf in the door where you put your milk, because then that means you've got to lay your milk down and that I do not trust milk in a laid down fridge situation. So I'm pleased for you. You've got that bit sorted early on anyway.
I'm pleased you said that, because I go one further. I do not trust any opened beverage of any description in a laid down fridge situation. It stands up. So we were debating between two fridges, and the more expensive one had fewer door things. But here's the thing: on the inside of the freezer, right, there are door standy up compartments, 3 of them. What can you possibly need to stand up in a freezer?
Great question. I don't know. What liquids are you freezing?
Exactly.
You can freeze milk.
Yeah, but these are only they're like quite narrow. So you might get one of the small bottles of water that, like a runner, which I am carries, but that's water. Not I don't see runners carrying small bottles of ice, because they don't offer the same refreshing hit of H2O unless they've melted. Anyway, I'm sure
mad, Gaz.
It has
woke nonsense.
Yeah, all these little pockets in fridges, woke nonsense. I think I'm going to go out and spray a flag on my old fridge just to show how angry I am about this utter woke nonsense. So yes, I bought a fridge anyway.
Very exciting! Congratulations.
Thank you very much indeed. So somebody said we're out earlier today. We are out earlier today. I am eating later due to having a McDonald's mid-afternoon. You have, of course, eaten your leftovers, as I understand.
Yes. I defrosted something from my freezer and had that earlier on.
Is that freezer inside?
Yeah, no, it wasn't. Yeah. No, maybe, it would have been really handy if I'd had a little pocket in the door to keep my leftovers in. Alas,
I defrosted a small bottle of soup, which unfortunately I'd laid down in my freezer, and some of it had seeped out. So there we go. Anyway, this is enough of fridge, beverage, food type talk. But by the way, if you are affected by any of the fridge or freezer based issues in tonight's show, please do feel free to come into the comments and we'll offer some level of support, particularly spilt milk, which you should never cry over. We certainly weren't crying yesterday when Lincoln City entertained Stevenage, but quite often we have cried tears of utter boredom in these games. I stated it was going to be 0-0. When the team came out, couple of surprises. Adam Jackson missing, Zach Geacock missing, James Collins not starting.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, Jacko's obviously picked up an injury, or it's a reoccurring injury that's kind of come to the surface again. I mean, Tom Hamer he's an excellent replacement, though, isn't he? I mean, it's almost you don't argue that he's come in. It doesn't feel like he's replacing anybody in actual fact, because he could be in your starting 11 week in, week out with no argument. And I actually gave him my man of the match yesterday. I did wonder whether we would be less aerially dominant without Jacko, but absolutely we weren't, as it came to be. Interesting around Zach Geacock missing. I don't know if anything has been said about his injury or the state of that, or how long it's going to be, anything like that. So just raises a few questions about Jamie Pardington. Obviously, I know that you'd said somewhere that he wasn't registered to play in the league, which obviously now he must be. But also there's a question about him being cup tied, because he did play for Telford in their qualifying round in the FA Cup. So I would presume that means he is cup tied. And what would that mean for us against Salford in the FA Cup in the next few weeks? Who knows? Watch this space, I suppose, on that one.
Yeah, it's very strange. Like, so at the minute in front of me on my screen, I've got the EFL squad lists. That's Portsmouth. This is great listening. Let me just keep scrolling down. Exeter City. So Lincoln City in squad players. So these are the players that are over a certain age. There's no Jamie Pardington. Just to clarify, between M and P, it goes from Jack Moylan straight to Adam Reach. In the under 21 contracted players, the only P is Charlie Parks. So yeah, I don't think he was on the initial squad list. So we must have registered him, or he must have been eligible to play, otherwise he wouldn't have been named on the bench. Now with the cup tied thing, it's really bizarre, because there was a thing with Chelsea, wasn't there, where a Chelsea player had come back from loan and they hadn't named him in the squad when they could have named him in the squad because there was a rule change. I've Googled it, and it does appear that some outlets are suggesting that there's a rule change this year where you can play for two teams in a cup competition. But I can't get that absolutely confirmed. I think on Vital Lincoln City, Scott Imp has said that if he plays in a qualifying round, he's then not cup tied for the first round proper. So again, I don't know if that's the case or not. I'm sure we'll find out. I'll try and find out maybe tomorrow. I know sometimes people from the club watch our podcast and they may be frantically going, shit, maybe we shouldn't have named him on the bench yesterday, although I'm sure that's not the case. So yeah, that was interesting. James Collins not starting. I mean, I think this is probably, and dare I say, a kind of an energy thing. Street's quicker, potentially to get in behind. We know that House and Draper are perhaps a little bit more physical as well. It was an interesting one, given that we've had 2 weeks, because we can't say the whole he's playing on the Saturday, because we're not playing on the Saturday, because we need him on the Tuesday, because we don't have a game Tuesday, and we didn't have a game last Tuesday either.
Yeah, I think it has to be a tactical decision. We know that Michael Skabala likes to change things depending on who we're playing and how they play and how we can best play against them. So him, making squad changes like that isn't a complete surprise. I think the fact that James Collins is normally the first name on the team sheet as our top goal scorer, that makes it more of a surprise. But I think you're right. Rob Street's got pace. He can get in behind. I think they were looking to use that. And also just that kind of pressing, harrying intensity that we play with. I think that Street, House and Draper bring that as a trio more so than Collins does. But it all, as always, well, not as always, but as most of the time, team selection seems to have worked out for us.
Yeah, 3 centre forwards on the pitch when we only actually play one number 9 is, utterly bizarre. And I am going to do an article this week on how at this stage of the season, how many goals actual centre forwards have scored in previous seasons. And I know that you've got Bentley's playing on the left and Rob Street's been playing on the right, but they're classed as actual centre forwards. I think what we got at the minute in the league, Street on 1, Draper on 2, House 2 or 3, James Collins 4. I think it's just crazy. Goals are shared out. I think the era of the 20 goal a season striker is slowly disappearing, and it's all about that squad depth right now. So we'll make a couple of little changes, but nothing major. Like you say, you're a bit of a Tom Hamer fan anyway, aren't you? I think secretly.
I seem to be. Yeah, I was thinking this when I gave him my man of the match. I feel like it's like deja vu. I've given him man of the match on multiple occasions. We have to tally that up and see if there's any bias going on anywhere. But yeah, I mean, who's not a Tom Hamer fan? Put it that way.
That's what I was just going to say. It's hard not to be, isn't it? Because he's got that no nonsense, just like aura about him. Almost Bostwick-esque in the way that he'll just fly into his tackles. Perhaps not quite as, I go out hunting bears with my bare hands in spare time, Bostwick, not quite as Hell's Angels leather jacket.
Yeah, not quite as big and hairy. But
yeah, not at all. But there's a no-nonsense quality to him. All seriousness aside, there was, and we'll talk about chances in a minute, there was an early tackle where he's absolutely flown in right on the touchline. It must nearly have been in front of you, where he's ball player, the lot's gone through, and he just gets up and walks away. No complaining, no moaning, nothing. And I think, that's what fans want to see sometimes. If we don't get the chances, you want to see somebody go in and I think Big Ron Atkinson used to call it a reducer. Put something in, let them know you're there. And I think Tom does that. But there wasn't an absence of chances, was there? There was a relative plethora of chances within the first 10 minutes, starting with one from Ben House, side-footed wide, perhaps might have done better.
Yeah, I think that was a great chance. It was what we expect from Lincoln City once again. Again, I feel like a broken record. I say this every time I come on the podcast. We started fast. And we got in their face. We pressed and we harried and we had a handful of really good chances. I think that Ben House one that came first of all, it was a great cross into him from Adam Reach, who again had an excellent game again yesterday. And yeah, I would have liked that to have gone on target. I think maybe it's so early on, everyone's kind of just waking up and sharpening up to the game, but I would have liked that to have seen that test the keeper a little bit. It was a real gilt-edged chance. I think maybe if he takes it with his other foot or opens his body up or something slightly different, we maybe have a different outcome there. So a little bit disappointing on that one, first and foremost.
I think he had 2, didn't he? And I can't even remember the second one.
It was long range, I think, or edge of the area.
It was the volley, wasn't it? And he's hit it into the ground and away. But again, I always quote Danny Cowley, but I'll get bored. I'll get Chris and Pete Summers telling me I repeat myself. But strikers are missing chances. They're getting chances. And that's one step up on strikers that don't get any chances. So, and Street had a couple. Now, I want to talk about both of Rob Street's, because actually his first one, he's kind of lifted it over from penalty spot, I think. It was I actually think that was a really, really good opportunity. And at that point, I'm thinking he's got 2 goals at the minute. They're both in the League Cup. He needs a League One goal. He needs another goal just to get him kind of onto the 3, which I think Draper's got in all competitions. House has, Colo has as well. But it was, again, as he put that one over, I did just think, is this Exeter all over again?
Yeah, I think I just totally agree with you. That was another really good chance. Would have liked to have seen him test the keeper from it as well. And yeah, I have to say Exeter it crossed my mind in that first half. But I have to say, actually, throughout the whole of the first half, it wasn't quite Exeter levels of, yet. I hadn't quite gone fully, this has got 1-0 to them, nicking a winner written all over it. I still had that dreaded hope.
Are we good hope? And let's face it, we did look good at times. There was, I think, there was, wasn't there? There was some passage. I know I missed the Luton game, so I can't, but I don't think I've seen a game this season where we've played some I had my nephew with me, 15, and he likes the word tick-a-tacker. Not for me, tick-a-tacker. And he said some of the football you play it's just got that, there was little flicks around the corner, and there was such good movement, and there was some passes where I think, why is he net up? And there's a player that I hadn't even seen, like Tendai Derico was popping up in places like, whoa, how's he popping up there? Really nice football.
Yeah, and there was something I was thinking about whether I try and explain this on the podcast or not without coming across like I'm just not making any sense. But there's something about watching the team yesterday, and it's going to sound really obvious, and I'm not somebody who can dissect all the tactics and all of the moves and all of the passages of play, like maybe Chris can. He can kind of watch a football match and it's like watching the tactics board move around. I can't. My brain doesn't work like that. But what I can see from yesterday in particular, and it has been all season, but for some reason it kind of snapped into focus yesterday, was when a player picks up a ball, as a fan who watches football and doesn't play it, and like I say, doesn't know all the technical ins and outs, you sort of have a gut feel, or you have an instinct, where that pass should then go. You kind of, your eye goes down the line because it should go down the line next, or you think that's going to be a little knock inside. You just have an instinct of where the next pass should go. And that's probably just from years and years of watching football. And we are just so well drilled and so well organised. That's how I felt yesterday, is that every time I kind of felt that pass needs to go there, there was a man there ready to receive it, and the pass went there. If that makes some kind of sense and doesn't sound like I'm just waffling on a little bit about,
100%,
it. But you just know, right, that needs to be a little touch inside, and then it's going to go down the line, and then it's going to go across. You can just see it before it happens, and there was a man in the position that you wanted them to be every time it happened. It just looked absolutely, like I say, well drilled, well organised, spot on. And for some reason yesterday, it just really jumped out at me that we were doing that.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that partially led to the Rob Street chance that people have said he should have done better with, but you have to watch that back from the angle that I had on it. Their keeper has done superbly, because people were saying to me, oh, he's come out and he's in two minds. Absolutely not. He's come out to exactly where he needs to be, and then he stayed put. And Street had none of the goal to aim at all. There was nothing he could do. And at the time I said maybe a cross for Draper, but you watch it back, he could. There was literally, it was that's how well organised and well drilled I think Stevenage are as well. In that, even when we sprung that, I thought as a defensive unit they were very, very good.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that one, because in real time in the stadium, I did think the keeper did look in two minds. He came, he went. I thought Rob Street's got to test the keeper. He's got to do better. But all the highlights in the angles that you've watched, the keeper has done so well. He's just closed down any angle, any option for Street. So rather than me thinking at the time that that Rob Street should have done better, actually the keeper did amazingly well in making him put that wide.
Now, is it perception? Because I didn't like Stevenage. I don't really now, if I'm all that honest. But under Steve Evans, I was, they're horrible tactics. Look at this, look at that. It's terrible. They're a scourge on football. I hate them all. Brr. They're not really doing all that much different. But now it's not Evans bouncing up and down the touchline, all red in the face, looking like he's about to explode. It's, aren't they well organised? Oh, don't they do what they do well? And, they've still, didn't play yesterday, but they've still got Jamie Reid, still got the big lump that had me up top, who I thought was crap yesterday. Jordan Roberts came on. They still have a little bit of skill out wide. I actually thought Labala and Chem Campbell for them were all right. Dan Kemp was all right. But all of a sudden, there's this little bit of a respect for them. Two questions. One, is there anything different that you can think? Because they're still holding, they're still pulling, they're still doing the sneaky fouls. Piagiani is still a cheating bastard. And the second question, I've forgotten, so I'll let you answer the first question while I try and remember what the second question was.
It would be interesting to do this. I say interesting for some people to do this stats wise and kind of look at, is there an actual statistical difference in how they play? I guess using the good old eye test. I said to my dad yesterday, I said, how come they've had different managers from Steve Evans and yet it's still the same old Stevenage? Do they just bring in managers that play the same way because they don't have to change and they've got the squad that can do it? Is that how it works? But I guess perhaps they do balance that style of play with a little bit more quality.
I think
Maybe
it's
they're a
where
little bit better at it, a little bit better at the dark arts stuff, as when, Steve Evans, it's so obvious and blatant, and referees do fall for it, unfortunately. But maybe it's a little more subtle, and maybe they do have a little bit more quality in their play to just offset it a little bit, perhaps.
possibly. And I mean, Dino Marmaria came before Steve Evans, and they were quite aggressive and quite big and quite hard to play. And they had a little bit of quality then when they brought Elias Chair on, who scored twice. I don't know. The other question was, would we all be as respectful and as, aren't they a decent side? You can see where they are if we'd drawn 0-0 or been kicked in the balls in the last minute and lost 1-0.
I think I might be, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they are top of the league. And
Were.
I think it's easy to forget. Yeah, they were, sorry. They were top of the league Saturday, when we kicked off against them. And it was easy to forget that during the game because it didn't feel like we were playing a top of the league team. Like when we played Bolton away and it was just backs to the wall, let's get a draw and everyone leave happy. Didn't feel like that at all. Didn't play like that either. So it's hard to, it's easy to forget that they are top of the league. And yes, they've had an easier fixture list, supposedly, but you can only beat who's in front of you, can't you? So
I do think as well, looking at the numbers, and Chris will like this, there is a definite change in the way we play depending on who we're playing. And I know that sounds obvious, but some people will say, how can you play so well against one team one week and not play so well against a team the next week? And typically Scout's frozen, so I can't tell you the exact numbers. But for instance, like passes per defensive action and pressing, we allowed them to do far less yesterday than we allowed, for instance, Luton to do when they came to our place. So Luton played around from the back, so we let them do what they needed to do. It might be a reflection as much of Stevenage wanting to get the ball forward a bit quicker. So rather than taking 10 passes before they progress into our half, they only take 3, they're in our half, so we need to make a defensive action. But either way, I think our PPDA matched theirs, give or take, yesterday. Our PPDA matched Exeter's, give or take, yesterday. So it begins to feel like, whilst people say, we did exactly the same as we did against Exeter, we did the same against Peterborough, it really is clear that there's a specific game plan each week from Michael Scavala, and it kind of feeds back into our team selection as well, that they know what we're going to face. We don't go out there going, this is us, beat us. Every week we go out there going, we know what you do, this is how we're going to beat you.
And I wonder with Stevenage, because them being up towards the top of the table, it's a bit of a surprise, isn't it? We don't expect Stevenage to be there, but they found a way to play and do it well to get there, really, haven't they? They found, it's not the most glamorous style of football that you'd expect a team to play that's in and around the top of the league, but they found a way to do it and it works for them. But I do wonder if you can counter that and you can unlock the key, whatever it is, you can unlock the door to beating that style, then they can get beat. I wonder if it's as simple as that. They found what works for them, but if you can find the antidote to that, you can beat them. And maybe as the season goes on, that'll get more and more uncovered and we'll see them move down the league. I don't know, but just a thought.
So as the first half went on, chances dried up. I know we had a couple just before half time where it kind of felt like maybe we should have scored those. I think there was one off the top of my head, Rico, but I might be wrong, that you think, you've got to do something with that. But I think the overriding story from about 20 minutes onwards was the fact that the referee just really didn't seem to care all that much. There was like the holding and the pulling in the area. And it was, it's easy to say, they were disgusting, they were doing this, they were doing. We did it as well. So let's not be, let's not be too prissy about it. But every single time, long throws, corners, the holding, the pulling, and the ref just seemed to be like, do you know what? Sort it out yourselves, chaps. No one's getting a penalty. Just crack on with it.
Yeah, and I mean, at least he was consistent with it, I suppose, is the only kind of saving grace in that. And it's one of those games, isn't it? And Stevenage are one of those teams where they're going to be physical, they're going to pull, they're going to push. And if you blow and then, Lincoln will be physical back. If you're going to blow every single time there's a nudge, there's a little shirt pull, there's whatever, the game would never get going. And the referee, perhaps, he was deciding to focus on the challenges or the decisions that were more important perhaps more, I don't know, obvious, less 50-50 tussled and actually go, that's a clear-cut foul. Because otherwise the game would have just been stop-start for 90 minutes and we'd never get anywhere. I also think the ref did okay yesterday. There were a few, we'll come on to a few big decisions that ultimately didn't matter, which is a sort of strange way to look at it and a strange talking point. But on the whole, I can't argue too much with his performance.
No, he should have handed out a couple of bookings in the first half. Well, just where players are deliberately going away, so there's a foul once they've got away, and there was one from each team, and I'm like, that's a booking. And I think Ben House was one of them actually. He just walked away from it. He's just like, we've got away with one there, but like he didn't seem to care. Do you know? My eye test is wrong. According to Wyscout, there was only 3 corners in the whole game.
Yeah,
2 for them and 1 for us.
Yeah.
And again, they did really well in limiting the set pieces that we picked up. They were time wasting ridiculously in the first half. They wanted to break the game up and they wanted to slow the game down. And the referee he wasn't clamping down on them doing that, but it was almost like as a caveat, he was then not punishing a lot of the stuff. Like players would go down injured and he'd just walk away from it. And he played into how we wanted the game to go, but without being too hard, because he could. The boos were coming when they broke. The keeper would put the ball down and then he'd move it across to the other side. That's what they do. So it's interesting. So second half, they come out, they have their only chance, really.
Yes.
And it doesn't count as a shot on target from Wyscout. And I say interestingly, but given that this was a podcast that started by me talking about the evolution of my fridge situation, and this probably will be interesting, because it was blocked, it's not a shot on target. But actually, that's what Stevenage do. They're compact, they're organised, and then when they get a chance, they take it. They got their chance. It beat George Wickens, and there's Adam Reach, a big shout for man of the match, by the way, to clear off the line.
Yeah, it was a great block, wasn't it? And just absolutely necessary. They had a shot off target in the first half. I think it was sort of a bit of a punt from the edge of the area or just outside. And I remember sort of me and my dad saying at that point, I'm glad they've had that effort because then it felt a bit less Exeter, a bit less. Yeah. They've had one shot and that's gone in. So at least that was a bit of a relief. But yeah, it was a good effort from them and it was a good move and just it was a warning sign really. I thought that it was Campbell coming in off the left. I thought he was he looked tricky. He looked decent. Caused us a few problems. But yeah, Adam Reach was there to save the day. And yeah, I agree with you. He was another one that was in the mix for man of the match yesterday. There's always a kind of consistent few, I think, that are kind of in our man of the match verdicts. But at that point, I turned to my mate next to me at the game and I said, if they score first, we've had it. If they score, we've had it. And that's how it felt. We know they're resolute. We know that they're well organised, as we've said. We know they're physical. I couldn't see us getting anything out of the game if they had scored.
Yeah. Do you know what? I said exactly the same thing to so Matt Wall came up and sat with me for this game, which he's a big man. When he sat next to me, I had no leg room. He sits behind me. I've got no headroom because I've got 2 knees coming down around my ears, which sounds a lot dodgier than it actually was.
That's you.
We'll move past that. But I turned to Matt, not too quickly, given where his knees were, and said, 1 goal wins this. Like one goal wins this, because if we get the goal, they're offering nothing really, and if they're trying to get back into the game, we'll be able to counter that. And it was just who got it, and that was after their chance. And I agree with you, Campbell. I thought was excellent. I think he's a former Wolves trainee that's been round on loan and joined Stevenage in the summer. Excuse me, and I really liked him.
Yeah,
I thought he was really tricky.
Yeah, and they outperform their XG, don't they, Stevenage? That's one of their big stats from the season. So as the game was going on, we were having more chances. We were dominant. I think we were dominant in the first half, and for a lot of the second, and we weren't scoring. They weren't having many chances, but in the back of my head, I was thinking they do outperform their XG. So something could come out of nothing here for them.
So I thought 60 minutes, we've got to make a change. I thought Rob Street's not really getting a sniff now. He had a decent game. He put a lot of effort in. It's not really getting a sniff. I thought there was a bit of a penalty shout at one point turned down, and then the goal. And this is, we're 29 minutes in and we've picked apart a 0-0 draw. We've got 70 minutes on the 0-0 draw. So this could take a while. but there's 2 penalty shouts leading up to the goal. And I was still angry about the penalty shout when the ball went in because I didn't realise it had gone in. So I think the first move is Rico, I think, is fouled. I think he's kind of checked back. Their boys come sliding in. And the only thing I can think that it's not a penalty is that he's come sliding in and it's just ball, player, everything's gone. But it's not even a conventional tackle, is it? It's weird. It's like rolling a 10-pin bowling ball into. It was just really bizarre, wasn't it? And
he absolutely cleaned him out.
Yeah, it was like, how is that not a penalty?
Yeah, and it's such a strange discussion to be had because if he'd blown, Rob Street wouldn't have scored. So it's such a bizarre debate to have at this point in time, knowing that a goal came, but that he absolutely just wiped out Rico. Got the ball kind of by proxy because if you're going to 10-pin bowl in somebody, knock them over like a skittle, you're more likely to come out with the ball. It's a penalty. And I also think the penalty shout on Freddie Draper before that, I also think that was a penalty as well.
I haven't looked at that one back.
I think it was. He was running through, and Pierre Gianni, I think was it Pierre Gianni or another one of their defenders? It's one of them where they run across the back of them and kind of it looks like he clips the back of Freddie Draper's heels from, the angles aren't that conclusive. So I've got my little red and white tinted spectacles on. But it looks like he's clipped him. He's gone down. Is it on the line of the penalty box, which does mean it is a penalty? It's very close. I'd have given that as well. But hey, I'm biased.
Was that on the extended highlights?
Can't remember.
It must have been if you have seen it back, because I've watched the normal ones and it's not on there.
Yeah,
I'll have a look back at that. I'd actually forgotten about that. In all of the excitement of everything that happened in a up to that point in 0-0 draw, I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah. So that's 2 penalty shouts. One more to go.
I'm actually going to sit on the fence with the one on Rico. Okay. All I'm going to say is the player's slipped, I think, as he's gone down, and he does kind of get the ball first. Even though he does clean Rico out, he does actually. It's like it's completely accidental. It's like the ball is in front of Rico. It's almost just like throwing yourself down onto the ball. Like it's almost like Boris Johnson's tackle in that Celebrity game many years ago. But if Boris Johnson, as he'd gone down like to hug him, had accidentally kicked the ball, the one that is 100% a penalty is Piagiani's pull on Ben House as the ball's recycled. So it comes back in. It's literally, 5 seconds later. Everyone around me is still incandescent with rage. I think even I'm stood up, which is unbelievable because I do like sitting down. And then it's like on watching the replay back, and I know 2 seconds later we finished, so that's fine. But watching the replay back, Piagiani, you can see him just look at House and just pull, just like I'm gobsmacked by it that the referee didn't even move towards his whistle. I know we scored straight after, but it's just a blatant pull in the area. It's awful, really. Yeah,
you can see it's clear as day, the shirt in his hand, and it's penalty. And it was Piagiani that was the tackle on Rico as well. So he's done that, wiped out Rico Hackett, whether that's a penalty or not. Got up, ran straight over to Ben House, grabbed him. It's like a double whammy for Carl Piagiani. He's an interesting player, isn't he? But
he's a shit house, isn't he?
He's one of them. He's one of them where, shit house. Hate playing against him, but I'd have him in my team. Yeah. Maybe not to displace any of our players, but I wouldn't complain if he was playing for us, to be honest.
If you're a Stevenage, you've got to have him. If you're anybody, if you're Northampton, if you're Port Vale, if you're Mansfield, you've got to have him. I mean, he doesn't look that tall, but he wins every header. And a shout out to the boy that played left back, I think, for them, Lewis Freeston. Again, another one who, to me, he looked a little bit like Dolph Lundgren's illegitimate love child with his kind of crew cut and everything. But
he gave us Paul Scholes vibes where we were. Just, that kind of look.
Just a horrible, perfect lower league player. But Piagiani, I despise the guy because he's good at what he does. He's almost like a Matt Reed if he were a centre back for the ages. By the way, did you see Kidsgrove Athletic yesterday?
Yes, I did.
Saw Reedy on the end of it. Anyway, if you're listening, just Google Kidsgrove and Avro and you'll see it. Or go to the StaceyWest.net where I've done an article on it.
But it's funny, isn't it? Having this debate about whether these are or aren't penalties, because it ultimately absolutely does not matter.
Yep.
I don't know why we're getting so riled up about it.
No, because Rob Street stroked it into the net, and that was, at that point, I think we all knew that was game over.
Yeah, I think so. And at the time, I think maybe it was the melee, the kind of everything going on, the shouting, sort of looked like he'd bundled it in a little bit.
Yeah.
But actually on the replay, it's a decent finish.
Good finish.
Hits it into the ground and gets it. There's bodies flying in, and he just finds that little gap and puts it in. And cue everybody going a bit mad, recovering from the
penalties.
Anger of recovering from the penalty shouts a few seconds before, but kind of I don't know whether I'm happy or sad in this moment.
I don't know whether I'm angry or delighted. I'm both, and I know when I'm angry and delighted, because as I cheer, instead of my arms going up or my fists or my hands, I instantly flip the bird. So I'm literally stood there with flipping the bird to the Stevenage fans, going, I don't know why I'm doing this, but we've scored.
Highs and lows of football in about 5 seconds, isn't it?
100%. And I think when you step back and look at the bigger picture as well, for Rob Street, really important goal, because he's given the number 9 shirt over James Collins. That's his preferred position. That's what he's been at Doncaster. He's done all of that. He's missed 2 chances first half. One, actually, we've all talked about, the keeper's done well. The other one, he perhaps would have liked to have put it on target or done better with it. Really, really important for him, I think. For his confidence and just for the overall squad as well, for him to go, actually, I've started as a number 9, I've scored a goal. For a player that we gave a 4-year contract to, that we rumoured to turn down potentially around £1 million for him to get that first league goal of the season for us was massive. It might be his first league goal for us. I can't remember if he scored last season for us. I don't think he did.
Not sure. You have to get your stats out for that one. But I'm delighted for him. Delighted for him. Get your stats out.
Get your stats out.
But no, delighted for him. I thought he's played well this season, hasn't he? He's played really well, and like you say, just getting those goals are really important in that position. You spoke earlier on about the 20 goal a season striker thing kind of dwindling off, but you still want those players in those positions to be probably getting the majority of your goals, don't you? And it gives them confidence, and great for him to come in, get the nod ahead of James Collins and do the business.
Yeah, we're going to do something slightly unusual and take a break now because we're 37 odd minutes in, but then come back and finish talking about the game. And we've done really well in dragging out what is actually a slow news podcast to this. You
always do.
Yeah. So we'll take a break and we'll be back shortly. So quick hellos, because we do this to everybody. Now, bear in mind, some of you watching on your different platforms may not see comments from other people because we're on both Facebook and YouTube. We're multifunctional. So Flossie says, good evening, you happy imps, 100%. Sue says, great evening after that win. Can't wait till we hit form. No point in peaking too early as there are a lot of games to go. I'd say, Sue, that we're probably in form, aside from the losing to Exeter in terms of results. Maybe that ruins the form, but I think in terms of the way we're playing, I think we're getting better every game at the minute. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. What keeps crossing my mind is Bolton, and I keep thinking, if we played that game now, would we approach it differently? And I think probably yes.
Yeah,
but that keeps crossing my mind all day today.
Very possibly, indeed, and we'd have Adam Reach.
Yeah.
Evening early birds. That's from Mummy, I would imagine, not mine, obviously. Yours.
Yeah, podcast mum.
Podcast mum. We're earlier than usual from PLG Spooky. I hope I'm pronouncing that as they wish. Mr. Barton, Chilly Steve. Evening team, Stacey West. Paul Stalabras. Good evening, Gary. Good evening, Emily. The Red Wimp, Daddy Podcast.
Podcast Dad, they're all in.
Podcast Dad is on. So there we go. David Tuplin is with us. Ian, London Imp, 1983, 5 years younger than me, Ian. Look at you. Whisper it quietly, but we're 4 points clear of Bolton in 6th. We're 4 points clear of Bolton in 6th. There's a danger.
Like that.
There's a danger.
Stacey West was ASMR. Welcome to the Stacey West podcast.
Adam Bull is on. Let's keep going. So, bit of research from Podcast Dad. I'm reading the FA Cup rules. New for 25-26. You can play for one club in the qualifying round, one in proper, or two in the competition proper, but not in the same round. So I think Jamie Partington would be able to play. David Ward, hello, great win. Nice start, but December still to come. Much stronger squad than last season, so hopefully better. We'll touch on that shortly. Roy, we will pick up on your question here, but evening to you. Samuel Ralston, the man behind the logo. Cracking result yesterday. Could have scored a few more with a tad more composure in front of goal. You imps. Does he sit somewhere near you, Sam?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I had no idea until I saw on Instagram. I was like, oh, I know that face.
Yes, yeah, because I think I saw him in the corner of one of Stu's videos. Anyway, Jacob, good evening, Gary Hutchinson and Emily. Good evening, Jacob. Good evening, Pete Steele. The ref slowed the game down as much as the Exeter ref. Difference is we went ahead. I thought he allowed them to slow the game down, but I thought that he actually let the game itself flow. Personally.
Would we have given the referee a glowing review if he delivered the same performance yesterday, but we'd got beat to a last minute goal?
No.
Yeah,
no.
Interesting.
Same with, would we have given Stevenage the glowing performance? Probably not. I don't know. But then to be fair, right, I was, to say Exeter executed their game plan. Anyway. Joe Priestley, are more people watching? I seem to be doing this for ages today. Rico, man of the match. Steve Jolland might have given it if Rob hadn't scored. He could, he may have given the penalty. To be fair, if I miss anybody out, I think that is about all of them at the minute. So PLG Spooky, right? It's Paul. So from now, when we see that, it's Paul. So there we go.
Paul.
Right. Let's think about coming back in. Dead on 50. Hello and welcome to part 2 of the Stacey West podcast, episode 415. We haven't finished talking about Stevenage. We have just picked apart Rob Street's goal, and we've moaned about everything in the build up to it, and then we joyous at the fact that he scored it. And moments later, Fred, he would have hoped to have put his volley on target, wouldn't he? And people say things like, "Oh, if James Collins gets that, he scores." I'm not going to be that harsh to Fred. It's anybody can shank it. It was nice to see him get in the position. 2-0 would have put the gloss on it and probably been the fair scoreline.
I think Freddie needs a Rob Street. He needs a goal. Just get a goal. Just get a goal and get going again. I think he's been. I mean, the thing is though, I think with Freddie and saying, James Collins would have buried that. Freddie's got a better all-round game in games like that. James Collins wouldn't have put in the same game as Freddie. He's not going to press and harry and all that stuff that Fred does so well, and why he's kind of come in and kept that number 10 sort of position. Collins isn't going to do that, so it's hard to compare the two in that regard, really, and say that James Collins should. A lot of half time heard a lot of this is what you get if you don't start James Collins. Can't quite agree with that, I'm afraid.
No, Joe, I think Fred has been a success story this season. He's already started 9 league games this season. He started 10 last season. So that pays into his evolution. And if anybody looks at a certain player who started 9 league games of the 12 or 13 that we've played, and we're 6th in League One, and we've got a 4-point gap over Bolton and a game in hand that possibly, maybe not Bolton, but whatever. But if anyone looks at that and goes, "Oh, he could be doing better," it's like, well, actually, he couldn't, because it's the whole sum of the parts, isn't it?
Yeah.
You look back at the Keith Alexander 2002-2003 playoff era. People might go, "Oh, Dean Cropper didn't do very much, did he?" Well, he didn't score all the goals, but we made the playoffs. So, it's a team game. It's not like the darts where somebody misses something and it's on him. It's a team game. And actually, I think with Fred, the role he's playing is slightly different. I thought he was excellent yesterday. And again, I think Steve Jolland says Fred's run himself into the ground by 60 minutes. But that's part of our game plan, isn't it? Is go out there, run yourselves into the ground until we just take you off and bring someone else on, or we'll do it for the last 30 minutes. So,
yeah. I mean, Freddie's had a good game every game. I can't really, nothing jumps out at me and going, Freddie had a poor game.
No.
He's just come on leaps and bounds and maintained it at the very least, you know. So yeah,
100%.
we love Freddie.
So 2 things before we wrap up the Stevenage game, I think, unless you've got anything which you can touch on in a minute. First of all, their guy wanting desperately, all of a sudden, they want to get things moving. They get a throw in, the ball comes into the crowd, the young boy goes to give it to their player. And do you know what? If it's a grown man doing it, I think, oh, come on, mate, you're a grown man. But for a little kid to do it, just the way, and he didn't throw it miles. It wasn't obvious. It was just like he threw it just to the side of him, out the way, and ran away laughing. I'm literally sitting there thinking, you little scamp, chuckling away to myself. Potential highlight for me. That should have been on the highlights reel.
Yeah, trained him well, haven't we? In whoever sits in those front few rows. Yeah, very good.
I might have a look on Y-Scout to see if they have the replays of the throw-ins and find the throw-in, because I'd love to see that again and again. I'd put it on whenever I felt down, as I would at the end when I think it's Scott Cuthbert. So the game basically pans out, doesn't it? Nothing really major happens after Freddie's miss. We're just excellent. We'll talk about individual players in a minute, but we were just excellent. The game finishes. We've then slowed it down. They've wanted to get playing. I thought that the ref would put 6, 7, 8 minutes. He's put 5 on, which, you know, given the Wickens injury, and that was quite a and then the guy is in front of the referee tapping his wrist, like, you know, where was the time? Where was the time? And the 2 things are: 1, well, you wasted it all up until we scored, and 2, what were you going to do in 30 more seconds that you hadn't done in 96 by the time it finished? 96 minutes. Just baffling.
Yeah, I know. They always do it though, don't they? And as fans, I think if he were to blow up 30 seconds early and we were chasing the winner, I'd be up in arms as well. But what are you going to do in 30 seconds? Yeah, you're right. You're right. I've got 2 final things to mention. One of them is I'd like to give a mention to the moment where Adam Reach kicked the ball off the Stevenage player.
Yes.
It went out of play for a throw, and he sort of picked it up and threw it into all in one movement. Sort of kicked it off him, came back, picked up the ball, threw it in, go. All as kind of, we didn't even break stride. I particularly enjoyed that. I thought that was very good.
Yeah, I like that. He was actually excellent yesterday, Adam Reach. And I think there was a train of thought when he arrived. Some spoke it, some didn't. That you kind of go, free agent, 3 days before the window closes. We haven't quite got the target we want. So we've still gone for a player that's, do you know what I mean, championship quality, you know, but probably not the profile we were looking for. A little bit more of a wing back than the conventional left wing back. He's versatile, so if we do manage to get somebody in, you know, we'll still make use of him. But actually, I think he's just been his performance levels for me. He's almost been an 8 out of 10 in every game he's played for us.
Yeah, and I said those things on the deadline day podcast. But yeah, can I just shock you? I like Adam Reach, despite what I said earlier.
Oh, it's a great reference. I'm so pleased you've got that in.
Could be a few of them. But the second thing I was going to mention, well, do we want to discuss the George Wickens handball shout? No.
Yeah. I think it's handball if your hand moves to touch it. In the penalty area, if your arm's in an unnatural position, it's handball. I haven't watched it back, so I'm just going to do it through rose-tinted glasses. For me, the ball's bounced back to him. He's chested it. If he's caught his arm and his chest, if it's kind of, you know, a bit of charm, if you like, yeah, it's not, for me, it's not handball. It's not handball.
Yeah. It hits his arm from the replay, but I don't really know what the exact rule is because it kind of, there's nobody around him within miles. It doesn't really change doesn't affect what's happening on the pitch. Hits his chest, bounces into his arm. I don't really know. Is that handball? Hits his hand. But...
yeah, I'll watch it back. But for me, I didn't think it was, but Dale, our friend who's watching from Egypt, because you know, he's genuinely in Egypt, he wasn't on a VPN in rugby. He said definite handball. And anyway, Joe Priestley in the comments says the same.
It's not our problem, is it?
No,
sadly,
not a problem. We didn't get our penalties, did we?
So. No.
And the only other thing I actually wanted to mention was just the Ben House, Jordan Roberts. kind of coming together. It was a foul. I don't think Roberts has dived for second time, but he has dived earlier on. Just, Ben does all his talking about calming down and not picking up his bookings, and he picks up a booking for snarling at Roberts. And do you know what? You'll never take that out of Ben House.
I like it though. I liked it. I liked a little bit of needle.
Yeah.
Ben S. House, we should call him. There was. I think it. I mean, from where I was. I mean, I was of a similar kind of level of anger when the second tackle went in on Roberts and he went down, and I was up shouting, as well. So I wanted Ben House to be doing the same thing. For me, he deserved a finger wag in the face.
Yeah. I was actually surprised the ref booked Roberts for it, to be fair, because it's like House has gone over him. Roberts has only got up and said something back. House is the one right in his face. And then the ref books both of them. Again, I keep calling the ref like the lazy dad. Like the kids are misbehaving. I don't care which one's at fault. I'll book you both. Now go on, bugger off, kind of thing.
Yeah.
He just had that whole attitude. I lied to the ref. And I know that had the result not gone our way, maybe I wouldn't have done. But I liked the ref. Right, moving on. Another new edition yesterday was the Imp Press magazine. So Progzine, Programme and Zine. It covers the Stevenage and Doncaster game. The Doncaster game may well be cancelled for international call-ups, but it does not matter because they sold out. I went to try and buy my copy to put in my extensive collection of things that Fee always has me moving, or I have to move around the house whenever we want anything new. These are moving. That I've got behind me. It's my program drawers. These are moving so that I can get the fridge in the kitchen, the gin cabinets coming up here, and these are being boxed up. But I wanted to add more. It's good to see. I don't know what your thoughts on a program are, but I think it's good to see something fan-led that's different people as well. Sometimes these things suffer a little bit from the same old faces. Dare I say, me, Chris Ray. Do you know what I mean? It can sometimes be the same old faces. Really good to see an initiative. Not, it's backed by the trust, but it's not the trust. It's specific. It's independent. I think is it Phil Bradley and Melanie Burton. So brilliant.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not a program buyer or a program collector myself, but I can't argue with the fact that it's nice, isn't it? It's nice. It's nice to have it. It's nice to have something. It's nice to see these sort of initiatives coming through the club, or the club's kind of actively supporting it and promoting it, wasn't it? Before the match, which was good to see. It's just nice that there's a buzz about Lincoln City. People want to talk about Lincoln City, write about Lincoln City, even if it is for fans, by fans. It must mean something's. It's pleasurable. It's enjoyable to write and to read. So that can't be a bad thing. I think it's really good. I didn't get a copy, so I haven't seen it, but I'll be sure to pop down and have a look.
Not against Doncaster because they've sold out. It's Melanie Toynton, not Melanie Burton. My apologies. But yeah, no, I just pleased. I was really pleased that I didn't get one because it sold out, which means that it's been a success. And I think, I did have a flick through, and it's very program-esque. Previous meetings. It's got the the teams and the scores down, which used to be for me was brilliant. You can flick it straight and have a run down and have a look. So
it's nice to it's probably a nice way to manage that program issue, because there isn't the demand for the club to produce a program that's kind of going to be a return on investment for them in producing it.
Yeah.
But at this level, you can do a limited run, and it's there for the people who do want it. But if you don't want it, they're not going to be kind of out of pocket and all that. It kind of works as a quite nice in between happy medium, and people get what they want, which I like that too.
Now, just a quick one. Pico has said the guys on Radio Lincolnshire say that the Ukraine under-21s don't have a game in the international break, so hopefully the Doncaster game goes ahead. Shouldn't believe everything you listen hear on the radio, as good as they are, because according to my schedule on the 14th of November at 5 o'clock, Ukraine under-21s travel to play Turkey under-21s. So unless there's been a fixture change that I'm not aware of, Ukraine certainly do have a fixture, and I know that Trinidad and Tobago have a fixture, and Jamaica, because I think they play each other on that weekend. Yeah, again. Well, they're in a group of 4.
Oh, I see. Right.
And they play each other home and away. So, and it's all quite tight. I think Jamaica are currently looking like they're going to go to the World Cup. Curacao, I don't know how it's pronounced.
Curacao?
Yeah, I'll take. I believe you're probably more travelled than I. So they're second. But if Trinidad can beat them, I think then and Jamaica, then they would go forward. So, but yeah, at the moment, Ukraine under-21s are due to play Turkey. So the Doncaster game would be off. Right, two more things to pick up on first of all. So the under-18s. We'll pick up on. We haven't given it a lot of coverage over the years. We haven't given them all that much. But their FA Cup first round draw came out. Do you know it is I think it's the 7th time in 8 seasons the under-18s have been drawn away from home in the first round.
I did not know that, but it's a shame, isn't it? It's a real shame.
Yeah. So they've been drawn away against Peterborough United. Now it's really odd because from what I can understand, teams in League One and League Two, their under-18 side enter the FA Cup first round. It's very similar up to that stage as it is in the real FA Cup. So the non-league teams all play each other in the qualifying first round proper. The league teams come in, but it's based on where the senior side is, not where the academy side is. So actually, we come into this and we're in. Forgive me if I get it wrong, any under-18 fans, but we're in something like the Youth Alliance, which is a 22 team division. Whereas above that, there is then a North and South league, which is kind of the more elite players. So technically, although we're a League One side, our academy is capped. I should have researched this properly. Our academy is a category below the Peterborough Academy. So the Peterborough Academy, they play in a slightly higher division, which is just underneath the Premier League 2. So essentially, it's like being drawn away to a League One side if you're a League Two side. So it's a really, really tough draw.
Yeah, sounds like a difficult draw for them, doesn't it? But it would be a lovely opportunity to get another win over Peterborough if they can manage it at their place. So, when's the fixture? I haven't got it in front of me.
It's a similar sort of time, I think, to our FA Cup. So, but we've had some good runs in that cup recently. We obviously played Watford a few years ago when Fred scored a cracker. We went out on penalties to Plymouth last year after beating Wrexham and Bolton, I think, as well, which I might be wrong now, but really, really good. So the actual FA Cup first round for the seniors, the televised games have been announced, and we are not one of the televised games, which is quite a surprise because we're playing Salford and they're usually always on telly. So it is a 3 p.m. Saturday kickoff. Yeah.
If it was on Sky, we might have got on the telly, perhaps, but it's not, is it? I mean, to be fair, looking at the games that have been picked for telly, apart from Luton, Forest Green, but the rest have all got a really nice mix of those teams that you like to see, really. It's when you get to the later rounds and they start putting on telly 2 Premier League teams playing against each other because nobody wants to see that again. We see it every week. But no, some good. I mean, I'm looking forward to obviously games for Trinity on the telly. Really, really delighted for them, and I hope they can do well in that game against Accrington. But also quite looking forward to watching Port Vale versus Maldon and Tiptree. They must be the jammers or the jam makers, the Tiptree, Maldon and Tiptree, the Jam Fact Tiptree jam. No,
it's all off. That's all over.
Do you not eat jam?
No, not really. No, not usually.
Tiptree is where the jam comes from.
Okay.
If anyone knows what the nickname of Maldon and Tiptree is, and if it's anything to do with jam, please put it in the comments. I'm not going mad.
Maldon and Tiptree's nickname is the Jammers.
The Jammers. Yeah, I went to the Tiptree Jam Factory in one of my previous jobs to watch how the jam was made.
They're managed by Kevin Horlock. I remember him as a player, Maldon and Tiptree. So I actually had a guess at the games that would be picked for television.
Did you get any right?
I'm just looking now. I don't actually know. I did so Salford and Lincoln. No. Luton versus either Worthing or Forest Green, but I put 2 big name managers, assuming Forest Green go through. So I got that right. Tamworth Leyton Orient.
Yep.
And then I picked Bolton and Huddersfield.
No.
And South Shields versus Shrewsbury.
Yes.
So I got. I only picked 5, so I got Yeah, 3 out of 5. It's not bad.
Not too bad. Not a bad ratio.
No, not a bad ratio at all. Right, I look over to my notes, and I did make a note of sweets because I said irreverent and end of the podcast kind of thing. I am now addicted to rhubarb and custard sweets.
Are you?
Yeah. Do you not like rhubarb and custard? Oh.
I'm not too bothered. I remember the cartoon when I was a kid, the dog and the cat, rhubarb and custard. No,
It's probably a bit before my time. After my time. Sorry.
No. No.
I don't remember that. Yeah, I'm addicted to rhubarb and custard, and I ordered some off Temu. No, and do you know what? They're a little bit small. They're not as good as the ones that I get in, like there's a Home Bargains B&M type thing in Louth, and they're quite good. But yeah, I ordered some on Temu.
I thought you might end up with custard and rhubarb or something if you order it from somewhere like.
It depends which way you turn around.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, they are quite good.
Do you want to know my favourite sweet?
That was the point of me asking, and I've forgotten.
Quality Street.
Really?
Just going for a pun.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Quality Street. Bollocks! That should have been my headline for the podcast, for the write up. So.
Oh well, yeah. There's still time. Christmas is coming. Yeah. They're a staple Christmas thing, aren't they? So if you get some more goals, maybe over the December period when we're all worrying that it's all going to go a bit wrong,
we are waiting.
Save it for then.
We're waiting for House and Street to score at the same time, aren't we, as well?
Yeah, I don't know why the fans haven't kind of turned a Ben House in the middle with Rob Street song yet.
In the middle with Rob Street, Ben House.
Yeah, it writes itself.
They score goals when they meet Ben House.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. We'll get it in. Can I just say quickly as well? Sorry, I know we're running over and I'm going over.
We've still got a question, to be fair, as well, which I've forgotten about.
I was just going to say really quickly, I think it might have been the Chelsea game. In the programme, I'm sure they put song lyrics, but they were all like, "We are imps, we are imps, we are imps." I just thought... It amused me. I'm sure it was the Chelsea game. It was somewhere like that. They'd listed the song, the chant lyrics, and it was just "We are imps."
I actually get sponsored posts sometimes on the Stacey West, and it's always a betting company, and they try. I tell them you've got to write specifically about Lincoln City. So I got one sent through the other day, and it was the history of the Stacey West stand. It was awful. It was AI generated. I had to rewrite it. I rewrote it to a modern history of Sinsel Bank, I think, but it was still average. And they'd put the song lyrics, and you can hear these songs, and they'd just listed these completely random football songs underneath that had absolutely nothing at all to do with Lincoln City. Like, no, I can't possibly publish that. So really quickly, and we're actually 2 minutes under, because although it says an hour and 2, we did have a 4-minute break. So we've got a couple of minutes to answer this.
We were time wasting.
Yeah, it's from our pen. Yeah, we're going into added time now. I'll be tapping my wrist at the end. Where's all the added time? Imagine what you could get in 30 seconds. You could get 2 Chris Man of the Matches in 30 seconds now, because he's cut them down, hasn't he?
We told him off, didn't we? We told him off for making them too long, and now he only does them in 10-second bursts.
Yeah, he's like the petulant child the referee won't tell off. Like, I am definitely going to adhere to the rules. And then I did a 30-second one yesterday.
I did as well.
Everyone did really long ones. Anyway. So Scunniam says, given we are in and around the playoffs up until Christmas last year, does anything feel different this year if we're to be there come the end of the season? The obvious answer being more depth, but are there areas we feel we can't afford to get injuries that would impact form? Now, first of all, I did check where we were after the same number of games. I think it was last season after 13. We were actually 8th after 13 games last year, but we kept... People have this preconception that we were crap in December. But actually, if you remember, we won 2-0 on the 20th or the 21st or whatever against Reading and moved into the top 6. So we did score in December. We were in the playoffs at Christmas. It was what came after that. So is there anything obviously different, do you think?
Apart from the obvious depth, which is what I was going to say, and clearly hadn't read the second half of the question to say apart from depth.
Well, I do think
You
there
go.
is.
Go on.
I think there is, and it's something that I really noticed yesterday that I discussed with Chris as well, in that the players that are really standing out, and there was two that we didn't mention at all during the podcast who were excellent, who were man of the match and man of the match assist, man of the match two, were McGrandles and Bayliss. But the players that are really, really standing out, Ben House, Freddie Draper, yesterday, Rico Hackett, Rob Street, Tom Bayliss, Conor McGrandles, Tendai Deriqua, even Tom Hamer walks into the side. George Wickens, that's 9 players yesterday that started the game that were not here last season. There's literally only Adam Reach and Sonny Bradley who were not here last season who started yesterday's game. That consistency is different. That knowing what it is and how it is Michael Skubala works. And I think when you are a coach and you're coaching players who, when I say there's a reason they're playing in League One, these are good footballers. And some of them have got exquisite skills. Rico Hackett, when he turns it on, Tom Bayliss, when he turns it on, are good footballers, but there's a reason they're in League One and not the Premier League. Mm-hmm. You have to coach these players. And if they're intelligent enough, and over time, they get it. And I think our players now are getting it more than they were last season. And that does come with consistency, and that does come with depth. We've stayed injury-free. Let's be honest, like yesterday, Jackson and G-Cop, what major injuries have we had this season? Dom Jeffries has been out for a while. Jack Moylan was a position where we had 3 or 4 anyway. So, but I think having that spine, having that consistency, having players that last season in May, people were going, well, maybe we should release Conor McGrandles, maybe we should release Ben House. Rico Hackett doesn't have a future, but actually, they're the key players now. The players I said last year needed to be stood up and counted. I said if a Ben House, I included Ethan Hamilton, Rico Hackett, if they had been on form in 80% of the games, not 60% of the games, we would have been top 6, not top 10 or 11 last season. So that's what I think is different.
Yeah. And I also remember last season, there was kind of talk and just murmurings of, does Skubala know his best 11? That inconsistency. And I mean, I think the question still might still stand now, but in a completely different way. We've got so many great options. But I think we do know what that best 11 looks like. Probably 90%, does Collins drop out? And so, there was little nuances, but 99% of the time that 11 is there. So yeah, I think I agree with you. Actually, that consistency is really important, and that is differentiating us from last year. The thing that came to my mind while you were talking, the idea that came to me was money, and I don't mean we're not cash rich now, but the player sales, that to me feels different from last season, and it's just, I think in some regard it's just elevated us a little bit. It's put us in a different status slightly. Like I say, we're not rolling in the money like some of these other teams in our league, but it's put us in a slightly different level. And I think the Jovan money perhaps has enabled us to do things that we maybe couldn't have done before, or commit to things that we perhaps couldn't have done before. So for me, it's very, very tangible, isn't it? Money, but it has made a bit of a difference, I think.
Here's a question from Paul. What happens if Tendai gets injured? Well, we could bring in Jamaican international Dexter Lembakisa, or Tom Hamer could play out there. And I think that's the thing is, in the match day squad, there are players that are now not getting in. Like, I don't think Oscar Thorne was on the bench yesterday. There's no Dexter Lembakisa, which was expected anyway because he played twice for Jamaica. There was no Lewis Monsma.
No Monsma, who held his own against Chelsea. You know what I mean? He's no fool, is he? He's not, it's not. Yeah.
I actually think when you do, I'm sure you've done these in your job, SWOT analysis. And you do, so when you do the SWOT analysis, I think one of the threats is actually, how do you keep everybody happy? How do you get to January? And like Lembakisa, I think his loan is up in January, but how do you convince Lewis Monsma stay for the rest of the season, without leaving yourself short? But also in January, you don't need, it's going to sound really blasé, but the depth you probably can do without 1 or 2, because you're not playing Saturday, Tuesday in the EFL Trophy, or unless you have a good trophy run, of course. You come to the end of the transfer window, Feb, March, April, you're really only expecting to play league games if you're a club like us, unless you're on a remarkable cup run. So I think that's the threat is keeping all of the players happy, but the strength is not just the depth, but it's just we look more like a team every time we go out. And let's still, we talked about McGrandles and Bayliss, who have been excellent, but you've got even Vartholomew, who we know is an outstanding footballer and a hard-working footballer, but at the minute can't get a look in. I mean, the competition for places is unbelievable at the minute.
Yeah. I think it goes back to what you quoted in your article in the write-up for the game, which I put in the group chat. We just keep doing things that make me think, are we good?
Yeah, we are.
And are we good, Gaz?
I think we are. It's like, I don't know if anyone's seen the Mitchell and Webb sketch where David Mitchell is cosplaying and he's Nazi and he's going, are we the baddies here?
Yes.
And it's almost like that. I'm literally going, are we the good team? Are we promotion candidates? No, we're not. We're a mid-table team, aren't we? We're happy to be consolidating, and let's be real. For the second season in a row, we're in and around the playoffs in October, but with all the ingredients to actually maybe go and give it a go. We tailed off a little bit in December, I think, squad-wise, but yeah, I think we might be good.
I think we might be good too, and that scares me.
Yeah, it frightens me at all.
But there we go. It's all fun and games, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I've got a festival booked on playoff semi-final weekend. So yeah. Anyway, now we are overrunning, and Chris will be sitting somewhere going like this, going, "It's you two that talk all the time." So that was episode 415 of the Stacey West podcast. We talked about a 1-0 win with a very little incident for around 50 minutes. And the conclusion that we've come to is that actually in 2025-26, Lincoln City are good. And I don't think we need to say any more than that. Up the Imps.
Up the Imps.